When Frank J. Manning turned 65 and retired in the late 1960s, he decided he did not want to sit around and play bingo all day. So with the help of other retired union, religious and academic leaders, he started an advocacy group for the older population called the Massachusetts Association of Older Americans.
And what he called and coined, it caught on really well, the notion of retirement was, the first thing it was instant poverty. You had a job, you had some security, you could, pay your rent and buy your food and do the basic things you wanted to do in life, and then the next day you couldn't.
From the very beginning, MAOA realized that elders are affected differently than other population groups. At a 1971 rally of thousands of older adults from all over Massachusetts at Suffolk Downs, the then Governor Francis Sargent approved the bill to create what is now called the Executive Office of Elder Affairs to serve the geriatric community at a top cabinet level. MAOA remained a partnership group with a small staff, with focus on economic security, health services, and education for older adults.
We receive funding actually from the Department of Mental Health to provide training, and so it's a combination of for the professionals, and they may be anything from nurses to social workers to case managers to people that run programs or run the entire organization of a senior center. But we also welcome and invite older adults themselves and caregivers to our training events.
As baby boomers get older, talking about mental health in elders grows more relevant. So MAOA organized a conference in December on trauma, aging, and well-being in later life. Teresa Guillaume, psychotherapist, says PTSD or other conditions resulting from trauma can often be misdiagnosed as depression and anxiety. Not everyone with PTSD has been to war. Complicated medical situations that affect functionality can also cause trauma.
Have this participant that I see in a nursing facility. She lives there long-term care, and she described to me while holding back tears her first time being incontinent and how mortifying it was for her. She talked about feelings of shame and guilt. She's not able to get to the bathroom on her own. She needs staff to help her there. She rang for help, and no one came.
When MAOA started work, thousands of elderly people were in state hospitals and wards for mental health issues. At his first job, MAOA Executive Director Chet Jakubiak said he recalls being asked to transfer a hospital patient who had been living in a hut he had built for himself in the woods for 40 years to a nursing home in downtown Worcester.
The guy completely cracked up. It was just so sad. And that was when I came home and told herself over there that I'm not going back there. I am not doing this job. And then found my way into welfare organizing and then to MAOA. He was moved into a nursing home and he was dead within 3 months. Yeah. Which is also not an uncommon thing.
Both then and now, transitioning into a nursing home is hard, but can be especially so for LGBT older adults. Gordon Burns, who is MAOA's database manager, also does outreach programs for the LGBT community. He goes into nursing homes to educate LGBT older adults about the various programs available to get them out of isolation and encourage them to socialize again.
It was one of the highest groups of suicide rates in the country, because what would happen is that all their lives they were fighting the discrimination on LGBT, and so now that they're older, their partners have died, their friends have died, they've gone into nursing homes, and they've had to go back in the closet.
Burns says the acceptance for LGBT community has been mostly youth-oriented, but MAOA is getting help from the student-run group Gay Straight Alliance to educate older adults in senior homes to accept those among them who are LGBT.
The young people are fantastic. We go out to UMass Boston, it's a delight. The people treat us like grandparents, it's wonderful.
Although the geriatric population have different needs than other age groups, creating unnecessary subcategories within the population can be counterproductive.
The ideal thing is that there is no more separation as LGBT, is that eventually that we will just be U.S. citizens like everybody else,
JAMA Internal Medicine, a peer-reviewed medical journal, says depressed older adults are 3 times more likely to be non-compliant with medical treatment recommendations, so untreated mental conditions can lead to more complicated physical problems in older adults.
So I don't always separate out that this is a mental health thing, this is an economic security thing, this is a caregiver thing, because there isn't anything that happens to people in real life that separates out that way. And it doesn't make any sense, in my mind, for me or advocates to try to separate them. We need to, I think, focus on how these pieces fit together and how they relate to the overall advocacy efforts that we have.
Both Jakubiak's father and father-in-law became very depressed in their late 70s. Jakubiak convinced his father to see a psychiatrist. His father was put on medication and things were getting better, he says, until the primary care doctor referred to the medication as happy pills and told his father he did not need to take them.
My father never got back on his meds. He ended up spending the last 2.5 years of his life in a nursing home, thinking that he was in a prison camp.
In a Nazi prison camp, he was convinced.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't go near him without having him beg you to help him break out of there.
Jakubiak's father-in-law, however, stayed with the meds and started becoming interested in activities again, and he passed it home in his own bed.
That if you know what mental illness really is, or what psychiatric conditions really are, or what emotional wellness is, then, and really understand that, then you'll be more receptive to using the resources that we have now in a better way to make your own life better.
Just as MAOA started as a partnership group of retired leaders fighting and advocating to enrich the lives of older Americans, there has been a movement toward peer counseling in local communities.
Because there's less and less services for geriatrics in the community, and one of the things that has been becoming more successful is peer counseling. And they're doing a group at the Cambridge Council on Aging on hoarding. They're also doing one at the Somerville Council on Aging on hoarding. And it's peer-led group, and it's a support group to address the problem together. And I think that's the direction things are going to be. We're going to be doing more of that kind of thing.
MAOA works closely with their partners in different communities to determine what the focus of the next conference should be.
New Bedford Council on Aging, they did a depression screening survey, and their survey indicated that elders needed help with. We need to find out what that with is.
People have been fighting the stigma of mental illness for years, but that is changing. The new generation of elders is more informed, and data from the American Psychological Association shows psychological resilience can be enhanced through learning and training.